Well, I'd probably formed an impression of Lourdes even before that storm my first night. I guess I come here expecting to find thousands of sick people, dying, desperate. And yet, I wanted to do this story because a few years ago, a friend of mine took his mother to Lourdes. She'd been given 6 months to live. She lived another 4.5 years. Why? I mean, Lourdes is just a little town in southern France with a population of about 15,000. But in all of France, only Paris has more hotels because between 4 and 6 million people come to the sanctuary of Lourdes every year. Not tourists, but pilgrims like the Cuizon family from California.
We're hoping for a miracle and blessing for everybody, for my family.
There was Jamie Jensen, a quadriplegic since birth.
What am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to go?
Pete Ulrich had lung cancer.
Because I think I have like a couple more years to live, and I'd like to extend that a little longer till my daughter gets out of college.
He's been exhausted all of his chemotherapy. There's no more for him.
Mary O'Sullivan's a retired Air Force doctor, and Marlene Watkins...
Don't have a college degree, just a housewife.
And these are just some of the Americans, but you see people from all over the world. They come because of the very first miracle. It happened here in this grotto. The Virgin Mary is believed to have appeared 18 times to a poor, uneducated teenager who we've come to know as Bernadette of Lourdes. And during one vision where Mary appeared, this spring began to flow. That was in 1858, and within a year, thousands of people were coming here. The water's said to have remarkable healing powers. But what can it really do? Do miracles still happen here? Dr. Alessandro Di Franciscis
Now here are archives.
is the medical director at Lourdes.
This is the oldest. These were handwritten.
He chairs a panel of as many as 100 doctors, because every year they receive 30 to 40 reports of miracles. They'll follow each case an average of 10 years to review
The biopsies, the examinations, or the scanners, the clinical facts to rigorous observation.
Because of the 7,000 cases on file, the Church has recognized just 67 cases as true miracles. The rest are deemed
unexplained cures.
Well, as a physician, I know people get better from things that, you know, there are times you just don't know how it happened.
So I kind of think the real miracle of Lourdes are stories of people like Marlene.
Oh, about my friend, she won the tickets to come here. I didn't really know Lourdes.
Well, it might have been by chance, but she saw a need.
Because for some, it is their dying wish to come here. But maybe all of their resources have been spent on medications and treatments, and they're out of work if they're sick. For those who are handicapped, oftentimes, there's not any opportunity for them to come without help or assistance, let alone without an income.
So think about bringing somebody in a wheelchair, on a respirator, somebody who requires full-time care. Think of that one person, then multiplied by millions, and realize the Sanctuary of Lourdes has a full-time staff of 500, but it takes 5,000 volunteers every week to maintain, organize, and even the people who train the volunteers are longtime volunteers themselves.
You've got to keep the stretcher level, so you have to lift higher.
Well, first of all, you got to know where the brakes are, because if you're going to leave them, you got to set the brakes, or they run away from you.
Vern Pottinger is a high school math teacher.
Well, this is my second time here. I did some other things at home, like going to the Katrina hurricane recovery and floods in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and different things like that.
What brought me to Lourdes?
Dan Rivetto's a Washington lobbyist. This is his second time.
Love. Yeah? Love.
Bridget Klatt came from Wisconsin.
And I thought I wasn't going to have enough to come on the trip, so I was going to sell one of my cows that I have at home.
Right. She was willing to sell her cow to wash dishes because Bridget and Vern and Dan paid their own way to volunteer with the organization that Marlene founded, the North American Lourdes Volunteers. It was after her pilgrimage 10 years ago that Marlene dedicated herself to bringing not only sorely needed volunteers, but pilgrims who might otherwise not be able to come. 15 times a year, the organization brings as many as 160 people. They stay in a combination hospice, hospitality center, and all the volunteers from every country live like this. The volunteers come to give a week, or in some cases, a lifetime, like Harry Donnelly.
Started coming when I was at school. I just kept coming every year after it. I loved it. It was my first time out of Scotland.
How many?
33 years.
Every year I go home after every trip here. There's always one memory of somebody. It's a little touch, a smile. Just can't explain it.
I believe the miracles that are really profound that happen don't ever go to the medical bureau. The people who are suffering from severe depression or mental illness, people with addiction, those never go to the medical bureau because you can't x-ray that.
This was actually Jamie's 8th pilgrimage because after his first, Marlene asked him to be her special advisor on issues faced by the disabled.
I have turned this into a decision to make a change, either in myself or in somebody else's life.
Ready, set.
As for Pete, sadly he died just a few months later. And while it may not have been a miracle, he clearly found something.
I haven't seen you out of your wheelchair.
Yeah, I feel great. I don't know why, but I do feel great.